Bismillah. Is talking about someone's work, for example, the teachings of a scholar with fellow students or others in a negative light. Is that backbiting? If there's a benefit, if you're warning somebody about somebody, then, and genuinely, there's a benefit in warning about like a book that has, for instance, the study Quran created all this stir. It's perfectly valid for scholars to read it, but I think what a lot of people did is they knew Sayyid Hussein Nasr was the editor, so they went to very specific verses to see how they, and then they said, this is clearly a perennialist agenda. Yes, there are some perennialist comments in that book. Those should be pointed out, and that is not the position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Point that out, but the vast majority of the book is not only sound, it's probably the single most useful resource in the English language for people that want to know what classical scholars said about these verses. Because they're using very important texts and they identify who they are. Some of the most important texts in our history were used in that work. And so, yes, there are problems in the book. It's perfectly acceptable to point out those problems. Sayyid Hussein Nasr, who I know, and I have an immense amount of respect for him because, one, he is truly a brilliant human being. He's a genius. Do I agree with all of his positions? No. Am I going to attack him? No. He's done an incredible service to our religion in the United States. He's one of the most respected academics in America, not just in Islamic studies, just as an academic. So it's important for us to be fair with people. لا تبخسوا الناس أشياءهم. Don't deny people their worth. And this is, we're not in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th century. We are in the 15th century of Islam. This is a bad time. We need all the allies we can get. We can't be attacking each other. We've got our Darul Islam is on fire. You don't ask who the guy handing you the bucket of water is and what your aqidah is and what you believe. Let's put out the fire and then we can talk about these things. But to be attacking people, I mean, I got a call from somebody from CNN who just said, wow, I thought the study of Quran, I thought it was so amazing. Why is everybody so upset about it? And he was just saying, it was the first time I could really understand the Quran. I tried to read it 3 or 4 times, but this book really helped me. And I think a lot of people will become Muslim by it. I really do. I believe that. Are those positions heterodoxic? Yes. Are they kufr? There's definitely some problems. Like I found a real problem in the essay on the other religions. There's an essay in there that I definitely found very problematic. The idea somehow that the Trinity, the Thalithu Thalatha is that قَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. They disbelieve who say God is one of 3. And then to try to argue, because this is something that Frishof Schwann tried to argue, that what they're rejecting is to say God is one of 3, whereas God is all 3. That's just totally unacceptable interpretation. If you read Tabari's commentary, he gives a brilliant commentary of that verse saying that Thalithu Thalatha does not mean one of 3, it means Trinity. It's the way that the Quran says Trinity. Thalithu Thalatha does not mean one of 3, it means Trinity. And then he goes on to explicate brilliantly the 2 views of the Western Orthodox and the Eastern Orthodox churches. Imam Tabari, they were great metaphysicians and theologians. They were also comparative religionists. Imam Tabari, Baqallani was a brilliant scholar. So there's problems. That's fine. Point them out. But be careful. If you're not a scholar, ask scholars. Personally, I don't know any Muslim that doesn't know that Islam abrogates previous religion. I don't know any Muslim that doesn't know that. That's like ma'lum min ad-din darura. Is there anybody here that did not know that? That Islam was the last religion and the previous religions were abrogated by the Prophet's message? Does anybody here, was anybody confused about that? So if they read it in that book, they're going to say, that doesn't sound right. And who's the source? There isn't one. It's a modern opinion. Did they base it on verses? Yes. And this is why it's what we call ta'wil ba'id. It's a far-fetched interpretation, and ta'wil ba'id, generally, you don't make takfir of ta'wil ba'id. So to say they're kuffar or something like that, I would be very wary about saying that. I think you're jeopardizing your own iman, because whoever calls a Muslim a kafir, one of them is kafir. And so it's just better not to do it. And it's not our job. It's not my job. I don't make takfir. If people say this group is kafir, and anyway, groups, there's the ideology or the aqidah of a group can be declared kufr, but you cannot declare a group kafir. You can't say all these people are kuffar, because takfir is of the individual. So a group's beliefs can be kufr. But to say that group is kafir, you can't make a blanket statement about people, because you don't know all the beliefs of those people. Maybe they don't believe all those things. Maybe they were born into that group and they don't hold those beliefs. We don't know. It's only if they say, I believe this, and it's clearly kufr. And then that's the role of a qadi. It's not the role of the average Muslim. We don't make takfir of people. It's the role of the qadi. And are all Jews and Christians and Buddhists and going to the fire? I wouldn't say that. I would be very wary about saying who's going to hell and who's not. Is Jewish belief as it's presented today and Christian belief as it's presented today kufr from our religion? Yes. Yes, it is. Trinity is kufr. If you believe in Trinity, we believe that it's kufr. But they believe in one God, and if you read their advanced theology, it's very clear that they believe in one God. Even with the Trinity, they believe in one God. And that's why they're considered, you can marry them, the women, and you can eat their food. If they were mushrikun, you couldn't do that because it's najas. Right? Muslims say it's najas ma'nawi, but that's a debate I don't even want to go into. Right? Innama al-mushrikun al-najas. But is every Christian going to hell? We don't say that. And we can't say any Christian, you can't point at a Christian and say you're going to hell. You don't know that. What right do you have to say that? Just leave people alone. And there are a lot of good Christians, and God knows what He's going to do with them. And Abu Hamid al-Ghazali in Faisal al-Tafriqa makes it very clear that the majority of human beings will eventually be in paradise. And that was his position. And I think most people, if you just think about your capacity for forgiveness, and then you think that God is the Arham ar-Rahimin, it makes sense, right? Anyway, enough said about that. So just be careful and make a lot of istighfar.